In this how-to, we are going to learn how to validate two different sets of form fields separately. This is particularly useful when you have two sets of form. For example, you have two login forms, one for the customer and one for the administrator on a single page, and you want them to be validated separately. Okay, so when I'm clicking on the login button of the customer login form, then only customer related fields should be validated, and when I'm clicking login button for the administrator login form, then only administrator login form related fields should be validated. So to do that, we will follow a certain approach, and let me show you how to do that. So here what I'm doing is that on my ASPX page, I'm going to create two forms. Let me show you that. First, I'm just copying and pasting my ASPX code here. Yes, let me format this selection. Okay, and now I'm going to expand the code. So here you can see that my first form is user login, where I have a username and password, and then I have a button. On click of the button, we are executing submit data one server-side method. And here we have the second login form, you can see, and this is admin login, and here also we have the username and password, and then we have a button. On click of the second button, it means that admin login button, we are executing submit data to server-side method. Now, in order to differentiate between the first login and the second login, what we can do is that we can group them. So in order to group them, what we need to do is that we need to specify the validation group property to certain values. So here you can see that I have a specified validation group property of first set of login form to the login form 1. You can see this for TextBox, also for the required field validator as well, and again for the password box, and for the required field validator for the password as well, and for the submit also. So all these controls, two text box, two required field validators, and one buttons, are specified with the same validation group. And similarly, for the second set of forms, I have specified validation group is equal to login form 2. Now what happens is that when we will click on this submit button, all these controls that having the same validation group, that is with the button, will be treated into a one group, and they will basically gets validated. So now let me show you the running code, but before I do that, I'm just going to create some server-side methods that should basically fire when I will click the login of the user login or the admin login. So let me create it out. If I will not create them, then it will basically throw error. So let me just create it. Yes, and I'm simply writing response.write user login past, and then I'm writing here admin login past. I'm just writing some message so that it will be easy for us to understand that okay, it is working really. Now let me run this page. Here you can see that I have two forms, user login and admin login. Now when I'm clicking on the login of the user login form, then you can see that only these two text boxes are getting validated. These two are not validated. Now when I will click on the login button of the admin login, then these two will get validated. These two are not getting validated. So let me write something, and you can see that admin login passed, because that's what is being written into the page here. And when I will click on this user login button, then you can see that user login passed. So using the validation group property of the ASP.NET Forms control, you can validate two or more than two sets of form fields on the same page. And this how-to, we are going to learn that how to validate a text box for range of values. For example, you have a form and in that you have a text box, and you want user to enter the year between 2000 to 2010. If a user is trying to enter any data less than 2000 or greater than 2010, then you are not going to accept that data. So in that kind of scenario, you can use the range validator control, and this range can be integer or it can be double also. So let me create one sample form here. So here you can see that I have a sample form on which I have one text box control, and the text box ID is txt range, and I want user to enter the year between 2000 to 2010. And then what we have done is that we have written one range validator, and my error message is sorry the year must be between 2000 to and 2010. And then I have attached this range validator with this text box, and I am specifying the maximum value to 2010 and the minimum value to 2000. Once we have done that, then naturally we'll have to specify the type. Because of this type property, range validator knows that what kind of data it has to validate. It has to validate the date type or double type or integer type or string type. So I'm saying that integer type. And then I have written for color equal to road, so that the error message will appear in the red color. Now when I will run this page, you will see that I will not be able to enter any data into this text box less than 2000 and greater than 2010. Let me show you. So for example, I am writing 1999. When I clicking submit, you can see that sorry the year must be between 2000 and 2010. If I will write for example 2011, again I will not be able to submit the data. But if I will write any data in between 2000 to 2010, you will see that I am able to submit the data. You can see that this form is being submitted on the server. So using the range validator, you will be able to validate a particular text box so that user will be able to enter the range of data that you have specified, and that range of data can be integer, it can be date, or it can be string as well. Now in the next how to, we are going to learn that how to validate a text box for correct date. This is very useful, and it is very frequently used, because most of the time we have to get the date of birth from the user, or maybe his joining date, and these similar kind of details from the user. So in that kind of scenario, you can use this ASP.NET compare validator. That basically helps you to validate the type of data that user is going to enter. So let me just show you in this example here. Here you can see that I have one text box called txt.dob, means I want user to enter the date of birth. And then what I'm doing is that I have kept one required field validator, so that this text box becomes a mandatory field. Okay, and once we have a specified mandatory field, then what we have done is that we have written a compare validator, and this compare validator basically helps us that the data that is being entered into the text box is of a specific type. So here you can see that I have attached this control validator using control to validate property, and I have said that I want to validate the date type of data. You can see that there are many type: currency, date, double, integer, and string. My requirement is date type. And then I am saying that operator will be nothing but you want to check the data type, or equal, or greater than, or less than, or not equal to. In case you have a string, in case you have a integer or a double type of value to check, then you can use this greater than, less than, and other enumerations. But in case you have to check for the data type, for example it is an integer or it is a data type, then you can use this data type check value of the enumeration. So here I have used data type check because I want to validate for the correct date here. Fine. And then I have a submit button that basically submits the data on the server. So let me show you that. I'm going to run this page, and you can see that I have one date of birth text box, and if I will enter anything, any text that is not of date type, then you can see that I'm getting message date must be in MMDDYYY format. You can see that the same message I'm writing here in the error message. Now let me write some wrong date. For example, I am writing 31/05/2011. Again, it is not allowing me to submit the form because 31 is not the correct month number. But if I will just change, then it will allow me to submit the data on the server. So for example, I am writing 0503, means 3rd May 2011. Then you can see that I am able to submit the data. You can see this. So using the compare validator, you can check for the specific type of data to be entered by the user.